everybody. My name is Bruce over here, and this is my Only Hands account. And to my right, I have the lovely Janet from another planet. How are you doing tonight, Janet?
I'm okay. I'm having internet problems, so that's what happens when
That's,
you live outside the city.
I can understand that. I lived in this place called Illinois, and most people think of Chicago when they think of Illinois. But that'd be like if you said Arkansas, I'd be like, oh, what do you think of Baton Rouge? Or what do you think of Little Rock? Or what do you think of like West Memphis? And you're like, dude, there's like 99% other parts of the stream, other parts of the state. Why are you talking to me about this garbage area? And that's kind of how I feel about Chicago. Most people feel about Chicago. 4 out of 5. Anyway, hey, Emperor 1G. Hey, Six Nations 31 Kings, Crafting Gamer, Multi Gunman. Hello, sir. How you doing? Tonight, this movie is the third in the Riddick quadrology, from what I hear, of Riddick movies. Did
Mm-hmm.
you hear that?
Yes. Uh,
So, go
oh,
ahead.
so go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I don't want to talk about the next movie. It's supposed to be coming up until we're finished, or we can talk about it now if you want.
Well, we can, but the good thing is that it just is from, I believe, February 10th or February 2nd was when I was seeing the big wires about this, where they're finally in talks for the final movie in the Riddick saga, and I hope it's not another version of Pitch Black.
No, I don't think it would be.
I hope not. You've
It's supposed
selected
to
this.
be in the picture board phase.
Ah,
Uh,
on the
that's
storyboard.
farther along than what a lot of people would think. So that's good, I think. I mean, I liked all three movies. I thought each of them were their individual standing film, but also I don't know if you can even hear me when my internet keeps going out. It's
I
it's
can hear you.
really glitching. Okay, um, it's I'm hoping that it will have the same people involved and a good script. That's what's most important. Because we already know the actors can do the jobs.
I'm pretty certain that this is where we want to see Vin put up the eye shine glasses after he's done with this movie. He can do cartoons or comic books or video games, but he's he's in his he's in his 50s now, and he'll be able to do some stunts. He did some really good stunts in the Chronicles of Riddick, like when he was climbing up the chain and he decides to twirl himself up the chain, and you're watching his amazing muscle control as he's doing that. He only practiced that one time before they did that shot. He's really good. And it yeah, Emperor 1G says I give him credit for sticking with his passion projects as long as he had. And
Well, this it's a good story. I mean, it really is. It's if they can keep it entertaining and have enough elements in it to make each movie worth, you know, watching the whole thing. You don't want
I
people standing up and leaving in the middle of your movie.
I
That's
didn't
my
see
opinion.
that. I didn't see that when I went to see Riddick. We went to go see it, and pretty much everybody was watching it. And since then, I've grown a bit as a movie watcher. I wonder why, but I I was watching it last night, and I'm like, man, Harlan Ellison is in heaven eating popcorn right now, watching this, saying, "See what you guys did to my movie." Because this is it kind of reminded me of A Boy and His Dog, the first act. Have you ever seen that movie with
No, I'm sorry, I haven't seen it.
oh, okay. A Boy and His Dog is a kind of like a nuclear winter movie where I'm having a hard time thinking of the guy. The main guy from Miami Vice, the TV
The one that
series,
was married to
Melanie Griffith.
Melanie Griffith. I
Yep,
don't remember what his name is.
he's
Sorry.
he's forgettable. They the actor they made him play Don Johnson. Thank
Don
you,
Johnson. That's it.
Nation. Don Johnson's in this movie with this really good dog, and they are kind of traversing the wilderness together, and it's a really good movie, and based off of a story. And the first part of Riddick is kind of that same film because Riddick, after he gets his bearings and he sets his leg, ow,
Yeah, the scene where he puts his leg in that crack between the rocks and snaps the bone back together is very cringe for me, but it was very believable.
I'm watching that.
So I thought that was really good. That was a very good scene for anyone who's seen someone with a broken limb, with the, it's really bad. And being there when they were putting it back in place to put a cast on it. I don't know how many people have ever gotten the chance to do that, but it's pretty gruesome. Because you usually have to have someone pulling on the limb, you know what I mean? And then putting it
Yeah,
in place and the person's strapped down sometimes.
you didn't have
So,
that
but
on
it was pretty good. I thought it was a very believable scene.
and Soy Based Jeremy. Pitch Black is probably as far as movies are concerned for the Riddick films. That's probably the one that I've ended up watching the most. But I like the Chronicles of Riddick best. Chronicles of Riddick has a lot of promise in it. There's a lot of things that you can go with out of that movie. They made a really cool prequel to it called Dark Fury, and that anime is nice. And
Yeah, I didn't really watch too much of the animated movie. I just could not.
couldn't get
I
into
just
it.
couldn't get into it after seeing the. If I'd seen it first, probably would have enjoyed it, but I just couldn't get into it after seeing the other parts of the movie. The other movies.
Sure. I as I was watching Chronicles of Riddick 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, this movie really hit me. The Chronicles of Riddick hit me in a way that I hadn't experienced it before because now I'm having to watch it for a purpose. I got to actually study it. I have to watch the characters and mannerisms, and I really liked. I really liked the set design of that film a lot. And when it comes to this
Are you
movie,
talking about for the ships?
no, for the Chronicles of Riddick, there's like a few parts of that movie where they had like the town square on New Mecca. They had the Necromonger throne room, which I thought was fantastic. They just
Mm-hmm.
they had put so much work into building a viable place to have the actors be able to interact with. And in this movie, I'm pretty certain they gave him a stuffed animal and they CGI'd it as the puppy at first. And then when the puppy grew up, they had another animal in its place and they cover it with CGI.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty certain that happened because he's a very good actor. But I would just hate to think that you'd be on stage on a green screen trying to pet an imaginary dog. That just sounds miserable. I don't know if there's another way to describe it. That like you're trying to sell a futuristic version of a boy and his dog as he's befriended this little puppy, and the first thing he does, he tries testing it with this neurotoxin that this creature has, And when he finds out that the dog can develop an immunity to it, well, shit, I'm going to take it myself. And he's doing pretty good. He's getting his headspace together because first part of this movie, while he's identifying and being with the dog, he's trying to heal up from the sudden but inevitable treachery that was exacted upon him by the necromongers.
Yeah, I thought the dog looked more like a hyena type dog than a
A
dog.
dingo or a hyena or something, yeah.
But the whole aspect of finding the creature buried in the mud in a cave, and day after day, he was trying to figure out how to fight the creature without dying, because he knew that they were like giant scorpions, basically, and that their tail had venom in it. So the fact that he took some of the poison after he killed or chopped the tail off a few and injected the puppy and himself to get them to their bodies to be more immune to the effects of the poison if they were stung, that they most likely, hopefully, wouldn't die from it. That's the same thing that you do when you do allergy injections. That's what
Mm-hmm.
I do. So they're giving yourself small particles of whatever it is to help your body become more resistant. So I thought that was a very good concept added to make it more believable about what it might be like if you were stranded on a planet and you didn't know how to, basically, survive in the environment. And then as you go along learning, by trial and error. So I thought that was really good.
I, I I don't disagree. And the chat seems to be telling us that there's some other things that the dog is motion captured. He was petting a real dog and a real puppy. Six Nation 31 King says the dog was not as charming as the boy and his dog was, in my opinion. And it was kind of supposed to be an African wild dog that they CGI'd into whatever this is.
Hmm.
And there's a game on the old Xbox system. I don't know if it was on PC, but I haven't found it yet. It's called Escape from Butcher Bay, and it's a prequel to Pitch Black because at the start of the game, you're walking off a ship and you're stuck with Johns, and you're walking into this Butcher Bay, which is a penal colony. And it was pretty fun. It was actually a really good game. It had some good stealth mechanics in it. So if you saw how the shadows fell throughout the environment, you knew where to creep at if you were going to take somebody out by surprise, which is the best way to go about that game.
I never played the game.
I'm sorry.
No, that's
It was
okay. I'm
fun.
just not very good at some games.
It's fine.
And I like child's games because if it's for 10 and under, I could probably win. I
After
played a game called SpongeBob SquarePants or whatever, that game. And it had Patrick and him riding a hamburger. And I never did pass that level, driving a hamburger. So there you go. Even though I tried really hard, I just could not do it. So I'm just not proficient when it comes to that type of thing. You don't want me as your teammate.
um, Six Nation 31 Kings was talking about, this has got some serious Enemy Mine vibes through it. And I could see where that would be coming into play because that movie does harken to be like an influence, although it's really not. Listed influences for this movie are like Rambo Part 2. There were some others that I saw on the IMDb.
Really? Because I didn't think it reminded me of Rambo at all. To me, it was more like what was that movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Which one?
I'm trying to think. The one where he was like a spy or whatever, and he went to Mars or
You mean
something.
Total Recall?
Yeah, Total Recall. It was more to me like a futuristic person having to go to another planet and survive, basically, but with creatures on a barren planet. But the other part of it, he wasn't, because at the beginning, when he makes that deal that if he takes him back to his planet of Furia, that's where he thought he was going. That the other guy he would let the other guy be. They could tell him that he was dead, and he could be the new leader of the necromongers. And he ended up getting the shit end of the stick and dumped on that planet, almost dead because he fell off the cliff when the other guy used that sonic gun and made the whole side of the mountain like slide down. So he got screwed over for that deal. But you should know you can't trust necromongers.
No, no. When Crone starts destroying the rock face, and he sees all the cracks, and he's like, I can shoot here and here and here and here and here and here. Hey, Hungar the Strawberry. I got it. I understood what they were trying to develop there, and that scene was pretty good. I wasn't expecting this movie to take that turn. I was expecting to see something more like an hour and a half of us watching him play with necromongers and teach them the ways of Riddick and show them his life and how he could influence them to be better. Not really be better, but just to not be so damn boring. And the necromongers are boring. They are. I hate to say it, but it was a very good enemy to have for the second film. But this they took all the spice out of the necromongers in this movie, and we only got 2 minutes of seeing Carl Urban. We get more with Crone, even though Carl Urban's like second billing in this film. Crone is there for far longer in scene on camera, and
Yeah.
probably like number 14 on the list of credits. Okay, but
The one thing I
Crone,
want to say is that I noticed is from the very first movie, the women were like badass, right? They were badass and cute. I'll put that. And then the necromonger women in the first movie were okay looking. The second movie, you could tell they had a better budget because the women were like really good looking. Even though they were dead, they had beautiful clothes. They had their hairstyles were better, all that stuff. And then in the third movie, it went back to the grungy type women. And even the necromonger women, when he gets to go back to the planet, were more, less like they spent as much time on themselves to
they
be
didn't have as
attracted
much
to
time
the
for
men.
and money for budget. I think
Yeah,
they said this was like a third budget from compared to
I think they
Chronicles of
spent the
Riddick.
money on the CGI for the dog creature
Yeah,
and the giant, what do you call it? I guess scorpions. This is about as
yeah.
close as I could say water scorpions. So that's what I
That's what
think.
you call them.
But the whole concept of the little hole in the cave that we're trying to get through to get to the other side because he could see through there and he could tell there was more out there, considering the side that he was on where it was all barren and dry, like Utah or in the mountainy areas of Nevada, I guess, with lots of sand and rocks and not much else. And that's what it looked like. And then once he went through there and he got to the other side, once they, killed that creature, got to the other side, that's when he saw that, wow, the vastness of the planet, that, he have a better chance of, survival. And then they found the station. And maybe he knew there was a station there, but he just couldn't figure out how to get there. Because
Oh, yeah.
when I saw the creature in the puddle from the dripping water from the top of the mountain that he was on, basically, I guess that's where it comes from, or it was could have been a underground spring, but that didn't seem plausible. So I figured it was from above. Because of being a mountain, it wouldn't be so. I just couldn't see a spring in the middle of a mountain that high up over that much time, as it dried out. So the fact that the storm clouds would bring more of the creatures, because in some areas in the deserts, it's the same thing. You have all kinds of weird toads and um, not really lizards, but they're like electric eel type looking creatures that
Mhm.
really do get like solidified into the ground until the next rains in Africa. So I thought that was ingenious for the because in the other movie you had the creatures that came out at night to feed, when they had the total eclipse, right? So
Right.
this one, it even made you fear rain because you fear the night, you fear the day, you feel the underground from the other two movies, and now you fear rain. And
Every
that's
natural
supposed to bring
occurrence,
life.
like, you can't be safe in.
So I just thought that whole thing was very smart, and it added a new twist to what another planet could possibly hold in dangers, or for how the creatures evolve differently on each planet. And the fact that they had these dingo dog type creatures on the planet too, I thought was very interesting. And the way their ears went up. I've seen some kind of creature with ears like that, but I just cannot remember if it was a bat or a squirrel or something, because I like to watch a lot of those documentaries and stuff. So uh, that's what it reminded me of. But I thought the whole thing was ingenious, the way that they created this whole race of different creatures, to rule this planet because there was no humans. I thought that was really good and very entertaining.
Yeah. Uh, 31 Kings, Sick Nation 31 Kings says, by its very nature, Mother Nature wants to kill you. If you're not strong enough, you're gonna die.
Well, yeah, it's the survival of the fittest, and it's that way here. I mean, it really is. If you're weak, you're the one that's like at the back of the herd, and that's the one that the lions are going to take. Or if you're the small, scrawny chicken, you're not in the flock, or you're straggling behind. You're the one that's going to be taken out by the owl or the fox. Uh, and the baby chicks that hatch out, the snakes get in there and eat the baby chicks. So it's always the most likely the weakest one, until we came along. When we came along, we had arrows and spears and swords, and we killed the big hardy ones because we wanted their nice beautiful head to hang on our walls. So we were the number one predator once we evolved enough to be able to do that, which happens in every single movie I've ever seen, because man usually takes out the predator that's on that planet. So, but that's how we see ourselves. We see ourselves as the top predator.
And
But I thought that whole thing was really good. And then when he found I guess it was called not really a space station, but a post, an outpost.
but yeah, he was at an outpost.
Yeah. So, but
That'd
he
be
knew it
weird
was
to find
there
that.
because he was a merc, uh, and he was lucky, I guess, to be able to land on the right side of the planet to where he could get to the outpost and send the signal out to bring another ship. So,
Yeah, that was one thing I didn't like. I was wanting, okay, if we're gonna be stuck with, frontiersman Riddick, and part of this movie, part of this film, he showcases some things in this movie, like, the reason why you want to be resilient and you want to be tough and you want to be able to live off the land. Cal, this is a Frogmoth, and I have two of them. This is a wizard sculpt, and this is a reaper sculpt. Um, Frogamoths. So now the thing that he did to prepare himself for this film was he went out into the wilderness for like 2 months and camped. Now I don't think he probably hunted and cut his own deer up or anything like that. I think he probably tried to fish and he tried to do the basic stuff. I don't think he, spent serious money putting together a Arnold Schwarzenegger facing off versus a predator campsite. I think
Yeah.
he just kind of got in tune with nature, but he had to do that in order to look like he belonged in the wilderness. And there was a a lot of delays with this movie, so that kind of fit into it because he'd get an email like, "Hey, we've delayed funding on this," or we're not really certain you're going to make your money back with it. And they were willing to spend like 38 million dollars is what they gave, and it allowed him to have an independent control because he agreed to do a cameo for the Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. He really wasn't into the Fast and Furious films when he did that cameo, but it gave him creative control over the Riddick movies, which is his passion project.
Mm-hmm.
And so all that tying together, he's dealing with all of these issues in the real world, and so it kind of just helped him get further into the character of Riddick because Riddick's got a kind of a "fuck you, pay me" mentality, and he does. He's got a very much a very self sufficient mindset. The frog apocalypse, I know, right? I'll feed him after midnight. That can't be bad, right? Um, this is a movie that really goes hard into the paint on the it's stranded on an alien world, and I've got to learn how to be Tom Hanks in Castaway for an hour. That's almost what you spend
He
with
could have
him.
ripped Tom Hanks' head off.
Say again?
I said he could have ripped Tom Hanks' head off.
Yeah, he
There's the
really could
big
have.
difference between the two characters, but yeah, uh,
Especially, the Tom Hanks that we saw at the start of that movie when Castaway first starts. Tom Hanks is like 70 or 80 pounds overweight. He looked like me, but with no physical activity.
hmm
That's not a good thing, Tom. But he put on some weight for that. Then he did like 7 months of just being on a horrible diet, and then they could film the rest of Castaway. But I really like the start of this film after they kind of apologize. Sorry, kids, you're not getting the Riddick leading the Necromongers to the Underverse movie that we kind of promised you into the second film. And you get Crone to be the mid tier bad guy, which ends up getting waxed at the end of the film, which is good, I guess. I wasn't happy with how they treated the Necromongers, and that's basically because they had budget problems. They could only put in $38 million in it. And if they're going to do Necromongers, it'd be a 20-minute film because set design, outfits, other people.
well, the fact that the little bits here and there that they did show, there was very few people.
Yeah.
When you had this huge army and armada of ships and everything of people that were all necromongers, and then all of a sudden you just have, 2 or 3 rooms was what you get to see, and mostly women.
Mm-hmm.
So it you could definitely tell that the budget was cut way, way back for the third movie.
Six Nation 31 King says the Underverse is just full of edgelords anyway. Pay them no mind.
So basically, what you're supposed to think, I guess, is that they made it to the place, their destination, where the underverse was. So they all just jumped into the underverse because they wanted to be alive and dead, I guess.
I don't know if that's what we're supposed to think. Because if we're
That's what
done talking
that's what I
about the
got from it.
first
So,
act, Janet, if we're done talking about the first act, which is a good setup for this movie,
mhm.
if we're done talking about the first act, I'll be happy to talk about the second act, which kicks off when the first of the two ships lands.
Yeah, I guess that's you could say that. But to me, the whole thing about how he's walking around and you're seeing you're figuring out the building that he's in, that it's uh, at
It's an
first when I
outpost.
first saw it, I didn't know whether it was like a lab or whatever else until that's when he put on there and you saw him send out the thing about looking for him. So that's when I realized, okay, this is a place where a bunch of the people that are out to, bounty hunters or whatever would want to stay. So I didn't
I,
really understand
I
that at
get that.
first.
I did not feel that with this movie. See, I felt this planet was a science outpost, and they actually felt that this is Australia in space. We're done. We're fucking packing up. We're leaving. And they left some stuff behind, enough information so people know, hey, people have already been here. This is logged. This is a legitimate planet. That's, if you look for it in the internet of things, you'll find this planet. But this planet is not a friendly place at the least bit. And it felt like, well, we don't have money to send Riddick into the underverse, but we can send him to Australia in space. And they put on this really good movie for Harlan Edison fans like myself, which I didn't realize I was until I watched this movie again. And he he gets to do these cool Riddick things. Then he does have some very memorable scenes in this movie, which I think are very important. If you're a Riddick guy or a girl that likes Riddick, this is not a bad movie. It's just it's not what we were promised, and so I'm going to take a demerit for that. But it just once I settled into like, okay, well, we're getting a discount version of what I want, but we're getting a really high cost version of Pitch Black because the puddle scorpions were really well done, and I couldn't
Mhm.
tell where the prosthetics ended and the CGI began on them. I thought that was really good.
Yeah, to me, it seemed to me that they spent all the money basically on the first half of the movie.
Wait, you think so?
It just seemed like it to me because um, I just didn't think that the second, especially the ending, I didn't think the ending had any. It just didn't. It just seemed like it was
Flat.
crammed together. Like they ran in the back room where the props were at, grabbed a bunch of stuff, ran out, threw it all around, and set it up, and then had a doorway that had a green screen on it to put up their CGI for the little uh, what we could call like a space whirlwind or something. It
Mhm.
to me it just seemed very rushed, you know,
It felt very
or
rushed.
yeah, very rushed and like they were just trying to get it done as fast as they could,
I
or finish it as quickly as they could because they were like down to where they were all eating out of cans and probably eating Vienna sausages or whatever because they were trying to hurry to get this movie finished. But you got to remember too that usually the ending is one of the first things that they film, but maybe they didn't in this movie when they made it. But it does seem there's a lot of areas you could definitely tell by editing it together, trying to take out some of the cheaper parts, where
Mhm.
they had to really scrimp to get through it. I could definitely tell that. And I thought the story was really good, even
Yeah.
though it didn't have all the aspects that we wanted the grandeur uh, of the second film with the necromancers.
Michael
Because that's
Myers.
what I loved about it. I loved the whole Romanesque type leader and all the really strong warriors that were willing to, do whatever it took to get more followers, because it seemed like the more numbers you were able to bring in, the higher ranking you became, that type of thing. So I thought all of that was just really, really good from the second film. Definitely out of these three films, the second film was just, the top notch tier of it. And you're right, this did turn into, from the very beginning, when he starts telling the story, it reminded me a little bit of like Conan the Barbarian, a little,
Yep.
how the story was being told, about what was going, so they could get through a bunch of stuff that they didn't have the money to actually film, with
Yeah.
to solve the problem with the voiceover. A lot of movies do that because they don't have the budget they need. And if you have the right voice, like James Earl Jones, it's not so bad when you have a voiceover with someone like that in it. So it just depends on what it's being used for. But besides that, I thought, there was lots of good aspects in this movie. And the dog was one of the reasons why I think a lot of people enjoyed it more, because it
Yeah.
gave a touch of heartwarming reason to fight. You know what I mean? Uh,
Mhm.
They didn't have the young girl now. She's dead. You didn't have, you know what I
you,
mean?
you get a bitter, angry mercenary princess who's fresh off of a tour with a bunch of replicants. With what was that guy's name that almost played in Blade Runner? You guys know who, it'll pop up in chat. Almost his character in Blade Runner. Fucking Katie Sackhoff played with him in Battlestar Galactica, and she still looks like Katie Sackhoff from Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, but she's still a badass.
I'm
And she was pretty, and you got to see her boobies. So, those are all good things for a man, I thought. But I
I
got to say
really
hi
like.
to Jeremy.
Go ahead.
I got to say hi to Jeremy. He just said hi to me
Yes.
in the chat.
Yeah.
So I just want to say hello. But it had a little bit of tea action going on.
This movie has a lot of testosterone in it, and it made me very fucking happy to watch it, because the last movie I tried to watch earlier last week, I just shut it off, and it was so fucking 2022. I was like, wow, the streaming services have sank to this shit. So I'm
Mhm.
not going to discuss that, but I just, this movie had a lot of testosterone and a lot of anger in it, and good violence. I think the best part of this movie is when Sanchez, I believe that's his name, the piece of shit that shoots his dog.
Oh yeah. Well, he
Yeah,
is getting like, his arm's pretty much going to be torn off if he doesn't do something. So,
I'm I'm okay with that, because he was a
well, yeah, we're
crappy
supposed to, because
person.
we want to root for the dog. Just like I said, the dog is the reason he's fighting so hard, because it's almost because he raised it from a pup, you know.
Yeah,
And what's the number one most loved pet in the United States or in the world, basically,
hot
is
dog.
your dog. So that's why you were rooting for him. It's the same thing that was in that movie with I Am Legend, with Will Smith.
Yeah, but I didn't like
Because,
that movie.
well, I know, but you like the dog. Everyone
Eh,
did. I mean, that's when you add a pet into a movie, you're adding a new character that people will love, unless it's Cujo. If it's Cujo, then you're not supposed to love him. But any other dog, Old Yeller, there's just tons of movies with Benji,
Hold
that
on
had
just
a
a
dog
moment.
in it.
I think the Chinese is here.
So you just,
Go ahead and talk.
it's a, oh, okay, I'm sorry. I guess his dinner came or something. But that was a smart move on their part to add an extra character that they didn't have to pay. They just had to pay for the CGI for it. So that was really smart when it came to the budgeting. And it also gave us a chance to root for someone, to see the puppy grow up and become best friends, like when he was cutting off pieces of meat and having the dog, um, put it on its nose, and just like things that we would do with a pet today if we are smart enough to train a dog that well, which I'm not. Mine were spoiled rotten, so they got to pretty much do whatever they wanted. But that aspect of drawing in people because there's a dog in it, I think that was really smart for them to do that to save money. But once the dog was grown, it acted like a grown up. So their togetherness wasn't the same as it was when he was a puppy, which is part of the aspect of what we are when we watch our children grow up, and the separation of knowing that they have to face dangers on their own. And but that's the way I viewed it, because I'm a mother. I can't help that. um, we all see things through our own eyes, but there's the person who was in charge of the script, I think, did the best they could with the materials that they were offered to make you want to stay enthralled in the movie. But when the Mercs showed up, and then you ended up having two ships where they were competing because they both knew who was there, and they both wanted them, both teams. So one wanted them for one reason, and one wanted them simply for the money. So then you were also rooting for Riddick to get a ship and get away, but you were also rooting for one or the other team, because you wanted to see one team bite the big one before the other. So you had different things to root for, and the action parts of that I thought were pretty good, and the fact that they had a strong woman that could hold her own in this movie would keep the woke people from throwing such a tantrum that they didn't have enough wokeness in it. I thought that she did really good handling that whole section for Hollywood with her character and making it believable. So she was very pretty, strong, and attractive, and able to do a lot of things that the guys could do, like when she got to kick that guy's ass a few times, which I thought was very enjoyable because he was a douchebag. But
Um, Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Oh, I
I
didn't know
had
if you were
a
trying to say
delivery.
something about that.
I uh, I didn't hear what you were saying. I'm sorry. So
Oh,
if
that's
you,
okay.
but I liked Act Two of this movie quite a bit. I thought it was yeah, it's a good throwback to pre-soy times of 2016, when, like, if you were an angry leftist and you had a vagina, you could wear a pink pussy hat and nobody would bat an eye. Like, it's normal. It's
Hmm.
normal to have that. And you could have like a woman as a judge in a courtroom and she had a pussy hat on. If you were a dude in a courtroom with that judge, you knew you weren't going to get away with anything unless you said, like, I have a safety pin for you. I'm an ally. And that just it was good pre-soy times movie. And I really like that aspect of the mindset that you can feel from the movie, because it felt like they were trying to do Space Conan. I mean, they kind of did that with the Chronicles of Riddick, because there's some scenes where it looks like Riddick is trying to emulate a bunch of Frazetta drawings and artist work, which is great. I love it.
Oh my goodness. I didn't see that. I didn't get that at all.
No, no,
Um,
no. It's actually in the director's cut, the commentary track of
mhm.
Chronicles Riddick. And then when you watch this film and he's on this planet learning how to survive and learning how to get over the failure that he let himself get into because he decided that he was going to run these people and he was going to show them how to live better, and we might not need the underverse, we just might need something else, or just some self-reliance and resiliency, and instead he gets shot in a sent off of a cliff because he trusts somebody else, and that's not a good idea.
Well,
So
I think he left from what I remember and from how I took the whole thing is that it wasn't as fulfilling as he thought it was going to be.
no,
And
no, it
all
wasn't.
he wanted was to go back to where he came from, back to his roots, basically.
Yeah,
And every person, I think, goes through that as you mature. You start wanting something different because when you're young, you just want a nice car, you want all the babes, or you want all the hot jocks, or things like that. And then you get a little older and you start thinking, I want a nice house. I want to have standing in my community. I want people to look up to me, things like that. And then you start thinking, I want a family. I want to find someone to fall in love with, or to have a family with, and to grow old with. And I think that's what he was wanting. He was starting to get to the point where he wanted to go back to his roots and find out more about himself. You know what I mean?
yeah, and
So
it's kind of hard to do that when
to
you have
me,
concubines.
well, he might find a concubine on his own planet.
But he wasn't going to be getting the concubine from his own planet. He was stuck with these necromongers, and they were giving him like the choicest women. And you, the hot one out of the four with the goth lipstick, come over here. You know how to operate this knife? Good. And they show her how to do that, and boy, she fails.
But the thing is, from what I got from the movies, is that you never saw any children. Okay. You never saw any children on the ships and stuff.
That
So
might be the that might be
they
the
couldn't
soy
have
influence in the
children
movie.
because they were dead. Okay. Or they didn't procreate the same way we did. The way they made their numbers stronger is by, like the Borg, they absorbed
Assimilation.
other
Assimilate.
other planets, things
Yeah.
like that. So he had the urge of having his own children, I think. So he wanted to go back because remember when the visions he was having when he saw himself in the crib looking up and seeing the Lord Marshal trying to kill him. He said,
Mhm.
but he lived. So I don't know. That's what I got from it. But you know me, I'm always seeing stuff that way. I always have a different vision than you do. But that's
Yeah.
what I felt for his character arc. I felt that he was starting to long uh, procreating, having his seed carry on, realizing that he wanted to leave his mark. And what is, I mean, the happiest thing I've ever seen in a man is when they get to hold their child, their first child in their arms, after the wife gives birth, and he gets to hold it and look at it and they pick a name for it and stuff. I mean, everyone puts so much emphasis on a woman having a child and stuff, but the pride of a man holding their own child is, I think, a, a big thing in the world, and people don't give dads enough credit because they're proud. I mean,
Yeah.
like when you're sitting in the stadium and watching your kid run his first,
Steal his first
touchdown,
base.
or
Hit
hit
his
a
first
home
home run.
run, or any of those, or catch a ball and it's the third out, for them to win the game. Any of those things, or even if he's a swimmer and he's in the Olympic trials, or anything these do, even Little League, or seeing him get his first badge in Cub Scouts. All these things, all these wonderful things that dads get to do with their child, seeing their child catch their first fish, or uh, shoot their rifle the first time, or any of these things. I think
Um,
is important for a man, and that's what I think. I think that's what I got from it. I felt that he got to the point where he just wanted more and wanted to see what he could have had,
the
or what he could
necromancer
have.
life didn't appeal to him, because he's getting fed sex every night, and these women are like not really getting it from him. So you see them kind of entwining with each other because they're just horny. They're I guess programmed to be horny. I mean, they're dead anyway. They don't have a uterus that's worth a fuck. I mean, this is the ideal Democrat.
Oh my
They're
God.
perfect little Democrats. They're just like the fuck, and they don't make any kids, and then they go and they ruin other planets and give them their shitty ideas. And here's an underverse token for you, and welcome into the cult, and blah 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 blah. It's all socialism.
You
Like
get
the
to
fuck?
die and you don't have to pay for the service of your funeral,
Yeah, exactly.
you
You
know,
get to
or
keep
raise
on
a
living,
kid,
but
you know. But
you
no,
never
I
care
mean,
if you
it's
have
like,
bad
to
food.
me, it's like real life in a way, because every person who's born, okay, you grow up and you're taught to right from wrong, and that you have to learn your arithmetic and your math and your history, and you got to graduate from high school, and then you might go to college or go to a trade school, things like that, because that's what you're told by society. That's how you excel, or that's what's important. And then you have a few people that pack all their stuff and they go to another country. They just travel, or uh, they want to become a crab fisherman, or they want to be a lumberjack, or they want to, they somebody's inspired by something, so they want to do something different than
My
the other
name's
person down
Kal-El,
the
but I'm just
street.
going to be on this Alaskan fishing boat for the first half of this movie. And I'm going to ruin any possibility of being really good and make decisions because my name's Kal-El, and I'm
Well,
played by
the
Henry
thing
Cavill.
is, this young man grew up to be Riddick because his whole race was murdered. So,
Mhm.
but and an element or somebody else, one of the elementals, uh, got him out of his crib and raised him, because somebody was left alive. You have to remember that, because
Don't
how do
forget
you
about
have
Shira.
a child that's in a crib that survives the murder, but doesn't starve to death? So there's other people that were still alive, just like the gentleman that helped him and brought him out of the sun so he didn't get baked, and then took off all his jewelry and stuff that marked him as a necromonger, freed
Yeah.
himself from that, and then committed suicide, knowing that he was going to die anyways, but he might as well choose to die his way. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because he was a Furian too.
And
So
should have fought. Should have fought.
yeah, you know what I mean? So he knew that maybe Riddick was the one that was going to get revenge for his race, for the people that died, uh, because at the necromonger's hands. So I don't know. I hoped for more about that part of the story, which we didn't get. But in my imagination, I was thinking that when he did get there, if he survived what was going on because he got tricked, that we might get to see what happens and what happened to their planet. Did anyone live? The ones that were able to get away, what has happened on that planet? So that would be very interesting. So I'm excited about knowing that it's in storyboard phase for the next movie, and I'm hoping that they're able to answer all the questions and close it off for people like me and others that are
Six,
interested in finding out what happened to the Furians.
Six Nation 31 Kings says something that's near and dear to my heart because I got the same feeling. I've got a fear that the more Riddick we get, the less action it's going to be, and it's going to be like a Jungian delve of just like learning about ourselves, and we do more psychological and cultural symbolism the deeper we dive.
Oh,
Welcome to the stream on NPR, guaranteed to make you fall asleep, guaranteed to put your brain at rest. Now have your necromonger token and enjoy the socialism.
no, I don't think I don't think it'd be like that at all. I
I
think
hope
it
not.
will have some of those aspects, because that's what he's going there for, to find out if there's anyone left. I'm hoping that he goes there, and because we don't know anything about the planet, we don't know what kind of creatures are on there before the necromongers came, but we know that people evolved, and that they were mystical, and they had really cool some type of powers, and the elementals knew about them. So I'm just saying, I think that there's some really good story information that they can make it very exciting. if they wanted to, because now that the people were gone, or most of the people, that means the creatures would pretty much take over the planet. You know what I mean? So
So we get a
who
third
knows?
movie that's basically Riddick versus the elements and creatures. Damn it.
Well, maybe, or maybe the some of the necromongers that were left when they find his dead body in front of his the gateway decide to get revenge because that one woman's still alive and tells them.
Yeah.
Riddick did it. I mean, I don't. What I'm saying is, then you're going to have the necromongers coming back to the Furian planet, and there'll be a battle. So who knows what will happen? I think it might be really exciting. I'm not willing to just give up on it. That's what I'm saying.
I don't want to give up on it either. I actually think this could be a really good movie series. But so far, we've had one good movie and then two
One
movies which
mediocre movie, and then
what?
one that was a little bit lower.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to knock people that like this film because this film has a lot of merits to it. It really does. There's a lot of things to find joy in with this movie. And I know that sounds kind of weird, but this is a movie where you get to see him kind of pay homage to the first movie, Pitch Black, but you also have in Act 2 and Act 3, you have the mercenaries, which are actually, if you liked Johns in the first movie, you'll love Daddy Johns. Like Noble, the guy that played Johns' father, I think is probably one of the most unsung parts of this film. He's probably the reason that I really liked the second act as much as I did. Because once they capture Riddick and they've got him hanging in the chains, and Santana's giving him like all the little death threats, and Riddick responds with his own death promise, like, I'm going to kill you, and here's how I'm going to do it. It'll be with your own pretty little blade. I thought that was really well done, and I liked how everything resolves itself off of that. But what made that scene best was the actual interaction from Daddy Johns to Riddick. Like, don't you fucking have an ounce of humanity in you? And Riddick is cold, but he's trying to be not a complete and total dick. And he realizes that the father's just looking for answers.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he starts to tell the answers to Daddy Johns, Johns doesn't want to believe him because who wants to hear that your kid's hooked on smack? Which Little Johns was. And he gives his father all the information that he doesn't want.
Well, before they got to that part, one of the scenes that I really enjoyed was the fact that you see the dweeb leader of the other Merc team take their nodes and lock them in that big chest or that big cabinet, right? And then he puts a bomb with a key, and you have to turn it a certain way so that it doesn't explode, so that someone can't just open that up unless they cut a hole in the back of the case or something like that. That's what I was thinking. But the way they set that up, I thought was really fun. And the fact that him and the beautiful blonde are fighting, and Riddick writes something on the cabinet again. Okay. So their whole scene where they're all worried when he's trying to open the cabinet, not knowing whether or not Riddick was able to come in and take that key off his neck, okay, and lock it back up and put the key back on his neck. And they're all standing there. Every single one in there had the doubt that it hadn't been opened. You know what I mean? So basically, he mind fucked everybody by making them back off. You know, like what's that guy's name that played in Guardians of the Galaxy?
Vin Diesel.
What his name is? You know, he was Drac. It's Drac.
Oh, Drax. You're talking about Dave Bautista.
Yeah, that character when he's like, "No, it's okay, boss. I believe you," and he's backing up. You know, just little things like that made that scene really, really funny and very good because you were tense. It was almost like you were sitting on the edge of your chair, biting your fingernails because we don't know whether it's going to blow up. Now, you don't care if it does blow up, except for the fact that the nodes are in there. So the longer the scene went on, the more I was thinking, he doesn't want those to blow up. He needs one of them, but he needs him to open the case. But I just thought that the way that they drew out that whole scene with everybody to look and the camaraderie between each of the characters, all thinking that he was able to take that off his neck, unlock it, get the note out or whatever, and then lock it back up again and put the thing back on his neck. And even the guy that had the key around his neck was doubting himself, thinking, did he do this? I just thought it was really good. And then the part where the one guy is wandering around and he goes over there because he thinks he hears something and he goes behind it. And that's when Riddick had come down through the ceiling, right through that open window, and threatened to kill that guy. Okay, so that whole scene I thought was really, really good because it just showed you that he's like very stealthy, and they feared him because he was a great warrior, basically, and they were all afraid of him. So
I'm gonna just dock you for just not knowing about the game. I understand this is an unfair docking, but if you played Escape from Butcher Bay, which has been out since 2004 or 2003, playing that game, you get to basically experience what Riddick's backstory is and realize that he is super stealthy, and worse yet, when it's time for him to move and make a movement, he doesn't waste time. There's not like a 1, 2, 3, go. It's 1, 2, boom. That's it. And it's 1, 2, 10. It's fast, and he moves like that.
Yeah, he did in the second movie. So that was one of the things that let me down a little bit in the third one is the fact that what happened, when he was fighting the creature, all the different things that was going on, where was that power, that he was able to move so like lightning, where it was almost like a shadow, when he ran and moved and stuff like that. That's how fast he was. And except the one scene where he's strapped into the chair and he's chained down, and John's had undone one of his ankle clasps, right? And that one guy throws that, like, what would you call that blade that he threw?
Machete?
Yeah, the machete. That's what it was. So he threw that and he was able to balance it, on his foot.
Yeah.
So that scene where he bounces it on his foot and then he kicks it up into the air and then kicks it and it goes into that guy's head and slices his head, like, completely off, where it slides down into the box. I thought that was just a really gruesome and exciting and fun scene. I mean, I thought it was very, very well done. It was very gratifying, I'll put it that way, to see that guy get what he deserved. The thing is, it reminded me of Underworld. Remember that movie?
Underworld?
The vampire movie.
And the
scene where she chops off Victor's head.
Yeah.
And it slides off. So it was basically the Underworld scene. I guess it came out. Underworld came out after this movie, so they kind of thought that was a pretty good scene and decided to put it in their movie or something. I don't know, but it was really cool. I thought it was a really, really cool scene, and to get to see this guy, this total jerk off that nobody liked, get his up and comings. I thought that was really good. And the way that it happened to him, I thought was really good. So I enjoyed it.
I love the scene where Santana gets his head cut off his head, or the top half cut off his head. That was great. That entire scene where Johns and him are discussing things, and that That was good. I thought Noble did such a good job, even though in reality Noble's only 3 years older than the actor that played Johns, his son, in the first movie.
Mhm.
We're not going to go there, but he does a very good job of playing a father, a concerned dad who wants just some fucking answers about what happened to his son on this miserable shithole hyphenated planet so many years ago.
Mhm. Yeah, it'd been
And I,
5 years.
yeah, and it actually I think it's closer to 10 or 15 years.
Oh, I thought it said 5 on
It
the,
might be.
but I might be wrong. That might have been the second movie. I mean, I'm, watching one after the other, things kind of blend into each other. But, yeah, it was so many years it went by.
Um, it, it's it's such a good performance that Noble puts out to playing Boss Johns, and his interaction with Katie Sackhoff and the characters that are the other mercenaries. I thought that was really good. Now, when the aliens start to spawn or the rain causes them to have their whatever they do,
Hmm.
because that's funny that the rain would cause them to get sexually aggressive and violently aggressive. The third movie
Well, it
takes place
wasn't
in
that. The reason
okay,
the rain, uh, the thing is, like I was saying earlier, the ground is hard. It's a dried up desert. Okay, so when the
yeah,
rains come, it softens the ground, and they're able to come out of the ground from their hibernation or whatever. So that's what I got from it. That's why the muddy areas that weren't quite wet and soggy, really wet, like quicksand or whatever, the creatures were having a harder time get out of the ground. So that's why he was saying he had to get out of there by the time the rains were coming and hit that shed, because they're not going to survive.
that shed did not look good either. That shed looked like it was a hay pad container that would fall apart if it was unloaded properly from its Chinese ship that it was removed from. It
What I
really
thought
looked
was really
bad.
cool too was the fact that the creatures were in different sizes. There was like little tiny ones, so they were procreating, and then you had the huge one, like the one that they had on the roof that kept the roof just kept sagging more and more, and you could hear the creaking of the metal and stuff. So you could tell they were petrified of one of them coming through after the one that had killed the one guy at the door, using its tail slicer or whatever.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was a very good, intense scene in that movie, just like you saw in the very first movie, where they're all trapped inside the building because they don't know what to expect. They don't know for sure what's out there. They can only imagine what's out there, but not knowing is really scary. So when you have all these noises and you have the roof caving in and all that, it adds a lot of fear, and um, you know you're waiting for what's going to happen next, and who's going to die. Basically, is what you're thinking. So I just thought that was really good. I thought that was a really good way of doing that. That's why I was also saying, from the other movies, the first one, it was a total eclipse. Okay. And the creatures that had made those big mounds that come up out of the ground, and
Mhm.
like termites, do in Africa. So they used a lot of things, I feel. Whoever came up with the creatures for the different movies, I don't know if it was the
Creature
same
design
people
was
on
really
all
spot
three,
on.
but they were very good. You could tell that they researched and spent a lot of time outdoors or watching a lot of documentaries to get the ideas of the hibernation and the way that these weird animals, depending on what planet they were on, how much rain they have, how hot it is, if it was cold or whatever, how they would survive. and I thought that was really good. So they definitely, to me, they paid attention to details when it came to all the creatures, for sure, in the movie.
I think that is something that this movie really does a good job with, and Pitch Black does really good with the creatures on UV6. I think that was really something that somebody did think about the creatures and their environment, their biology, and how they would react. I took it as the rain causes them to spawn because they get freed for the first time,
Well,
and
they
that's the
probably
first thing.
do. I mean, because you got to remember, I think it was a documentary I watched, and it was some kind of toads, some kind of really gross, flat looking. I can't remember what kind they were or what they were called, but they were like flat and really just ugly looking,
Are
like
you talking to
flounders with
me?
legs.
Are
Huh?
you talking to me? Are you
Maybe.
talking
I
to
mean,
me?
those look a
Or
little bit
me?
more like frog octopus or something. But
Yeah.
and they go into they bury themselves, in the dirt when it's still moist enough, and then they get in there, and then they have this like slime that they exude, it comes out of their pores, and it surrounds their bodies. I guess it keeps them from drying out, and then the ground hardens, and you're walking on it, it's all cracked, like really barren, look really dried out. And then the rain comes back, and you see the ground slowly absorbing the water. And then as it gets moister and moister, then all these creatures start just coming up out of the ground. It's almost like a zombie apocalypse or something. But it was really interesting. So when I saw the rain coming, and then after you saw what happened in the cave with the dog and the other, creatures that were all fighting over this little pond that was in a little pool of water, or the fact that had spawned different spawnings, and it had different sized babies from the different rains that had come through and the water or whatever. So I thought that was all of that aspect of it was really, really ingenious, I thought, for them to have a predator, because normally the creatures would probably just eat each other, or those dogs, or whatever other animals that were on the planet. We don't know, because we didn't get to see any besides the dog and those whatever they're called,
Little
uh, you
puddle
know
scorpions or whatever.
scorpion creatures.
Yeah.
So, but I just thought it was really good, because besides fighting each other, they had to fight together to stop the creatures from eating and killing all of them. So I thought that was good.
This the very end of the movie, the little busted ass hay pad container shelter they're in, to
Hmm.
the scene with, right where Johns abandons Riddick because Riddick falls down. I get it. Hey, Shadow and Sun. Um, it felt like the that part of it was really rushed out, and the part of it that I hate, the fucking hover bikes in this movie. The hover bikes look like CGI, and they're like, "Hey Riddick, hey Vin, hey Noble, why don't you guys hop on these beer kegs, and we'll do some CGI of you doing stuff on them, and it'll look really cool." And they're
Well,
like,
I liked them. So you might have hated them, but I thought they were really cool. And I really wish they really had something like that, because, man, I'd be riding one of them. I'd probably kill myself on one, but I would probably learn how to ride one, because I thought they were really awesome. Just like the hoverboard that
"I go to
was
Fox
in,
Head and Back to the Future."
yeah, Back to the Future. Everyone wanted one. I mean, everyone that I knew that saw it said, those are cool. I wish we could have one so we could ride them around. Because, I mean, just think about it. How awesome would that be? But to have motorcycles like that, you wouldn't want one?
Not that I wouldn't want to have one, I would, but I also know the drivers around me really suck.
Well, you just have to
I'd
be a
have to
better
go drive
driver.
and
And then you could, skim by them while they're all ramming into each other, and you could go around them, because you're better at knowing how to ride it. See, I'd be
and
the
and
one crashing in front of you.
The only problem, the problem that I have is that when there's a scene when Vin Diesel's on this motorcycle, hover cycle thing, and he does something, does some aerial tricks, and he does basically a corkscrew. He basically rotates all the way around his pitch. He completely goes around, there's a 360. And I just watched a movie called Megaforce, and I'm not going to make Janet watch it, but there's a scene in Megaforce where Barry Bostwick, one of the greatest cheddar actors of all time. I mean, this guy's a ham and cheddar actor if there ever was one. The best cheddar. He's so cheesy. Um, he does a basically a complete inversion back to riding a motorcycle right because he's got flying motorcycles in Megaforce, and that movie's terrible. That movie's so terrible. But when I watch this movie, I'm reminded of Megaforce because of that stupid scene with Riddick trying to do a Megaforce flip around on his x-axis. I just thought, I don't want to see this. I don't.
Well,
I'm sorry.
I hadn't seen that movie, so I'm not, when I'm watching it, I'm not judging the way they're riding the bikes or if it's riding the bike like Ghost Rider, when he was riding his motorcycle or something, I'm not looking at it like that. So
Okay, well,
I'm not trying to say, well, the other guy on the other movie rode the motorcycle better. I'm not doing
no,
that.
I'm not going to say that at all because that movie. If you think this movie has budget issues, we do need to watch Megaforce.
Well, what about that other one with the animals that come to life in the pizza place?
You wait. You want to watch Banana Splits or do you want to watch Willy's Wonderland?
No, I don't want to watch Willy's Wonderland. That's what I'm saying. Willy's Wonderland was one of the worst movies I've ever seen, and I just I don't know how much, but whatever dimes amount of money that they spent on that movie was wasted. That's all I can
Where on the
say.
Froggermoth
It
did it
was
touch
it
you?
was terrible. It was the horriblest movie I've ever seen in my life, and I've seen some pretty bad movies. Even Rabbit Test wasn't that bad. I don't know if anybody saw that movie, but my
No.
parents bought that movie. Well, my dad bought that movie, and he watched it a few times, and I thought it was a horrid movie. But that movie was worse. This movie's 10,000 times better
Okay, well,
than
I'm
that
pretty
Willie's
certain.
Roadhouse or whatever it's called.
Wait, you're not going to say Roadhouse, are you?
I don't remember. I keep forgetting. It was so forgettable. I can't
Willy's
remember the
Wonderland.
name. It's horrid. That's all I know is this terrible. And I wish I had that money to get one of my screenplays made instead of them wasting that on that movie. Because it was
2/3 of that
terrible.
movie was just like the scenes that Nicolas Cage was in. Because I call them scenes that Nicolas Cage is in because he doesn't say anything basically throughout the whole movie. He's just like the main focus the camera has while
Mhm.
he wins every fight and destroys every animatronic monster. It's such a shit movie.
Oh,
The hug
that's
is
where the
so much
budget
better.
went to pay for him.
All of it. All that movie paid for Nick Cage so he could screw up his taxes.
Yeah, whatever. I don't know what it was, but it was just bad.
Even
The kids in that birthday scene were the best. The only thing that was good about the whole movie.
okay, I rarely ever hear people laud or say the kid actors are what made this movie great. I've never heard that before,
Do you
ever.
agree with me? Was the kid acting in that movie better than anyone else in the movie?
I don't know. I'm gonna abstain from this film, much like I abstain from the dirty thoughts that I'm offered every day at my job.
Oh,
Um,
I can understand that. But
I
yeah,
like Rock.
that scene where he chops his head off and it falls down in the box, and everybody agrees to unchain Riddick because they know that we need this guy if we're gonna win or
Yeah,
survive.
that made me happy when they're like, okay, he gets it. He can be free now. and nothing is ever said in the rest of the film about him being a convict murderer. When he identifies himself to the computer, and the computer gives his name, his occupation, his status as a freeman, all of that, it's the same stuff he says to Paris in the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I really did not need to hear that again, but we got it. We got that, and then we have the scene where he does the loop de loo on the motorcycle, which I just lambasted. Uh, the scene where he's climbing up that hill by himself and he's being attacked by all the monsters. I thought that was pretty cool, and I thought this is a heroic death. This is good. And then he gets saved, and I'm like, ugh. And I
I
didn't
love
mind the
that.
guy.
I love that. That was so sexy to me, that whole scene, because she's supposed to be, what is it? The one thing that I hear men all the time, they say when they meet two women that are lesbians, that they're all they can think about is being sandwiched between the two lesbians, right? And that they're the one man that's so good in bed. I mean, he is the best with his hands, with his mouth, and whatever else he has, that he's going to make these lesbians not be lesbians anymore.
I
So,
don't think she's a lesbian. I don't think her character's a lesbian. Excuse
well,
me.
she said it. She said she didn't like men.
She said that to fucking Santana.
I know, but it doesn't
If you were
matter.
faced with
So
Santana
after
and
she
this
says
squirty
it,
little,
all you're thinking about is, damn, she's fine. And just like he did when he said that she was going to straddle him and she was going to talk to him sweet. Okay. So
all sweet
basically,
like,
when that scene happened and she's straddling him and she's got that big smile on her face, she's actually thinking, I want to sleep with this man.
of course.
Everything I've seen him do, he done to the over the top. And I don't, if she did have sex with him that after all that, she'd never be able to have sex with anyone else because nobody would satisfy her. So,
I I think that's possibly in the cards because sadly, when the two ships meet at the end after that sexy scene, and you have the bromance between Johns or Daddy Johns and Riddick,
yeah.
they're talking to each other. I didn't like that. I I really felt like, well, you gonna fuck him too? Because that's what I felt like. Like, he was having this breakup moment with Johns. Hey man, that was pretty good. Want to do a Bros movie later? And that was the effect I had in the theater, and that's the same feeling I got now. I didn't need to see that scene. I just would have been like, if they hoist him up in the ship and credits roll, that would have been great. But nope, we
Hmm.
get to get it. And in the theatrical version that I remember, the two ships meet, and at the very end, the ships split up and they go their own separate ways. And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
eh. Now, hey, Australia's Most Haunted, Joe, how you doing? Um,
I didn't really like that too much either. I thought it was kind of, I really didn't understand what the purpose was for that to be in there. And
they needed to pad
except,
the time,
yeah, the only thing I could think of was that they put it in there trying to give it an ending.
and
So
then
now he's no longer going to be labeled as a criminal and maybe he won't be chased down anymore. That was uh, the only thing I could even think of why they would do that in that scene.
well, if they do that, that's that defeats the purpose of a director's cut ending, which
Mhm.
I'm being summoned. I'm gonna make you full screen. Give me about 2 to 3 minutes, and I know. I'm sorry, guys. This is the second time. The first time I had a delivery, and I apologize. But Janet, go ahead and explain why you didn't like that scene.
Well, I just thought they didn't need to do that because the ending was already great because he lived. But the only reason I think they did it was because they were trying to get you to realize that this is the ending of it, and that now he is no longer going to be a criminal, that people are going to remember him as a hero, uh, even though we know better. But the thing is, that's the only reason I could think is that they would add that to it. But the very ending, the part that I got to see, I don't know if it was the director's cut or whatever. It was the one that was available for me to purchase to rent for 48 hours to be able to watch it on Amazon. And this ending for me was after you see the two ships separate and go in their own directions. He is back at the necromancer or necromonger, said that wrong, ship or planet, wherever they were at, because in the background there's a big doorway and you can see his ginormous like whirlwind, or it looks like a black hole in the background. Okay, and there's a black hole in the background, and you see two women in this room with a man, the one that he left to be the leader, and he's going to kill him. So when he walks through the door, there's a very attractive woman that approaches him, and she asks him about how to stab somebody in the between the ribs, which rib to stab them, that it would kill them. And he tells her, and so she pulls out a blade and she stabs him with it. And after he gets stabbed, you could tell it hurt really bad. But then he looks down at her and he says, "I told you this rib or this number of ribs." I can't remember the exact number. I'm sorry. But so he stabs her. He pulls the knife out and stabs her, and she dies and she falls down on the ground. And then he walks over and he kills the other guy. There's a woman standing there with a scar on her face, and he tells her that, you know, if she tells him the truth and she's always honest, that he would never hurt her like that. And so he asks where, I guess, the other character from the second movie was, and she said, "Is he dead or alive?" And then the woman says, "He's both." And that's when you realize that he supposedly went through the gateway into the underverse, which is supposedly right out that little opening, because you can see this big black hole-like thing swirling around. So you assume that's where he went. So that's how it ends in the movie that I got to see. So I think it was the director's cut, but I'm not 100% because I don't know what version that Bruce got to watch. But to me, that left it open for him to now that other guy's dead, that he could take it and take whatever he needed to go to find the real planet that he was supposed to go to at the very beginning of the movie and find out about what happened and if there was anything left or anybody left alive from his people. So that's what I'm hoping. That's why I still have a little bit of faith that we might actually get something good out of it, especially since the same people are involved. And I know that Vin Diesel really wants to have this made. And now that it's been years, I think he's going to have a way better budget than what they were able to have for the movie that the last movie, the one we just watched. So I'm really hoping that we'll get to see something good as the second movie, which was the Chronicles of Riddick. So I think it's called, I think it's going to be called like Furia or something like that. And I really do hope that they get a really good script writer to have written the story, and it gives us a lot of fights and a lot of character arcs that will make it worth watching. And maybe they'll even bring in a couple more elementals, because I thought the elemental in the second movie was really very interesting, the concept of their abilities and stuff. So I'm really hoping that there'll be some really good, juicy stuff. I guess from the game, there's a lot more things that they could put into the movie. So I haven't played the game, so I don't really have an idea of the things that they could take from the game and bring to life in the movie, which I hope they will.
Sorry about that. I'm sorry if I'm out of breath, but
Was there a lot of things in the game that you would like to see if he does get to go back to his home world in the fourth?
the games don't really focus on his homeworld. The games focus on him getting out of prison.
Mm-hmm.
That's
So there
the
isn't
goal.
much talk at all in the games about Furia at all.
Not that I can remember. And if you guys can remember anything about Furia, that'd be great. Go ahead and add it to chat and we'll discuss that. But I don't remember that. Now, in Escape from Butcher Bay, you do get to be Riddick pre eyeshine surgery. But the fun thing is that you get to understand the canonical sense of how he got it, why he got it, and what the ramifications were. That in of itself is not worth you going out finding an Xbox and a copy of the game to play, but it is worth the if you have an Xbox already and it's getting dust and you decide to go and just kind of see what it's not what's the cost of it on eBay, how much is it? Well, if it's within your budget, if you're a connoisseur, go. Now, Janet, you discussed this final scene that I watched. Same scene that you watched, where
Oh, it was? You got to
yeah,
see well, okay. I didn't know what version that I had watched because I forgot to. I just clicked on it, bought it, and started watching.
I honestly was watching it and I'm like, I don't remember this. I saw this in the theater and I didn't remember that at all. And I thought that if they had more Furia or if they had more Necromonger stuff in the film, we would have gotten something. And the final 3 minutes, the final 3 minutes of this movie kind of save it. And I'm not saying that I'm really going to dock it a whole lot. I'm going to give this movie an easy 6.5 out of 10.
Mhm.
Or if you don't like that, fine, a 3 out of 5.
Well, I was going
And
to give it an 8 out of 10. So,
okay, this isn't an 8 out of 10 for me. This is a very well done film, but it lacks a lot of. It doesn't have like a failure of ingenuity because you get to see Riddick process through the problems he faces, and I do like that. I do. The one thing about the character Riddick is that he does a lot of nonverbal storytelling,
mhm.
and also his mouth. He brings back a lot of 80s action hero stuff, which I
Yeah.
do love.
Mhm.
Low spec Linux laptop says last time I tried to get those old Riddick PC games running, I failed, so I'm going to try it again. Go for it, and let me know if you can succeed. And what do I need to do to my rigs to where I could find
How
one to play
many
it?
how many games have there been?
2 that I know
2
of.
games?
There
Do you
was
think
two.
that they're
One,
going to be coming out with another one if they
I
do
hope
come out with a
so.
new movie?
I hope so because Riddick Furia is would be perfect if they if God damn it, you're gonna call me a geek, but I love it when you have a game tied to a franchise that fills in gaps.
Mhm.
I don't want to say that, Janet, I'm going to force you to buy this DLC for $59.99 on Steam, and you get the chance to play with as Vin Diesel and see Vin Diesel do Vin Diesel things on a CGI on a computer game.
Mhm.
But if I have the opportunity to play through 10 or 12 hours of an enjoyable Vin Diesel movie, which is what Escape from Butcher Bay was for me on Xbox, it was great. I'm going to tell you, yeah, there's some missing DLC for the franchise out there. If you can go find it and play it, you'll love it. But Six Nation 31 Kings says just hit up ScrewTube for long plays or cutscenes for the Riddick games.
Mhm.
And I forget what the second one was called because I'd never played it. But the first one, Escape from Butcher Bay, is fan fucking tastic. It is a great, great game. and it makes a lot of sense in that environment, in that universe. It's just a great piece of storytelling from start to finish. And it came out about the same time that Doom 3 came out that I can remember. And both games excessively utilize the dark in their own ingenious and sinister ways. Riddick let you be the monster in the dark. Doom made you fear the dark.
Mm-hmm.
Six Nations, 31 Kings is like, I got all retarded for the thing on PS2 and McCready was in the ending. Yeah, I know. Like, after you play through 10 hours of that crappy game, you got some guy doing a McCready cameo flying the helicopter. And you're like, oh my God, it's Kurt Russell. And it wasn't Kurt Russell. It was just a very good imposter. Not a bad thing. It just, the thing really disappointed me. Um, Six Nations, 31 Kings. There's a guy by the name of Spoonie, or the Spoonie Experiment, and he does a fantastic review of the thing on PS2. And that was basically my experience with it. And Low Spec says Assault on Dark Athena is the other one, and it includes a Butcher Bay game. So that's a twofer. If you can find them and get them to work, there you go. Or they that's for Xbox 360, if I remember right. And you should be able to find that still. Um, I really do like parts of this movie. There are parts of the movie that I don't like.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I mean, you can't. I mean, well, you can, because a lot of people love everything about certain movies. But yeah, I found a few things that I definitely thought was sad. But most of the things that I found that I didn't like about the movie was because you could definitely tell it's because of the budget.
yeah, and they really tried hard to make things work without a budget for the things that they wanted to work.
Hmm.
The Chronicles of Riddick has a lot of praise, but there's some things that really fail in that movie, but not in the movie itself. In the deleted scenes, there's a scene where Riddick is petting the dead cat, and they didn't throw a lot of money at the cat because they didn't have a lot of money left.
Hmm.
So a lot of people hate on that, but they cut that scene. If you read it in the novel, that's great. But I never got the novel. I got the movie, and I played games, and I did Vin Diesel things. I can't see Vin Diesel wanting to read a book about Riddick. I could see him wanting to get a script and play Riddick. That's what I see him doing.
Hmm.
Uh, this movie has a lot of good qualities about it. It does not succeed on all fronts. With Janet describing to you what happens at the very end of the film, I believe that is the director's cut. I do believe that. I might be wrong. It might be theatrical, but there's 8 minutes added to the movie from theatrical to the director's cut version. So whenever you decide to watch this film, check out, see what version they give you, and it is entirely a film where you can have your brain disconnected and have some popcorn, and you're going to see Katie Sackhoff's boobs, and she paints her toenails pink, predator pink. They match her
Hmm.
nipples, and I love that scene, and I that's where I think that I don't think that Doll is a lesbian. I think she's just hateful to fucking Santana or Sanchez, whatever the fuck his name is, Mister. I lost my head because I was a shithead to a dog on a strange planet, and I pissed off the owner, and I got my head cut off. No, he deserved to die, and
Yeah,
I don't
that's what I'm
even.
saying. You get to root for the dog because you want the
Yeah,
dog to win throughout the movie for those parts. And then when the mercs show up, you hate the guy. Okay, he's absolutely a dick. And then the other ones show up, and for a totally different reason to come get him. But you're hoping that the new mercs kill the first mercs. So it's like
it
it gives
doesn't
you a
quite
lot to
happen
root
that
for
way.
on who's all gonna bite the big one. And
It, it is it is
the
enjoyable.
really cool robot thing that they had that was watching the perimeter, that moved around, and it looked kind of like Uh, you know that movie Little Shop of Horrors? It looked
Yeah.
like a robot of
The
that.
robot version of Audrey.
Yeah, I mean that's what it reminded me of when it was bouncing around and stuff. That's what popped in my head. So I don't know.
And that's just kind of funny that you say Little Shop of Horrors because I was going to do that uh, next time I had a selection, but I promised somebody that we would watch South Park Imagination Land in over the next week.
Okay, that's
South
good.
Park Imagination Land is what we're scheduled to watch, and I don't know. Do you watch South Park, Janet, or no?
Is this the one that has Saddam Hussein in it?
No, this is one from quite a couple seasons ago, but not quite that far back.
Then
You're
no,
talking
I
about
haven't. I
1997.
haven't seen it then, so it's going to be
Okay.
brand new. But I love South Park, so I'll get to laugh a lot.
Yeah, I love Seymour.
I think they're the whole concept of South Park is a genius idea, and those two guys deserve all their fame because they've done an excellent job at making a show that was for everybody, basically men and
Did,
women. That's what I mean,
did you
not
see
kids.
the concert?
Do what?
Did you see the concert they put on in Colorado
Mm-mm.
where they had a musical number or a musical concert and had all these famous songs from the South Park, and they brought on a bunch of other performers to help them sing these songs, and they had some ladies giving backing vocals, and like you just fall in love with the girls that are singing because they're rocking it. They bring the noise, they really do. And then this last week, South Park had a spoof where they spoof the bullshit going on with a certain exiled prince and his
Oh
ugly
yeah,
half
a
breed.
lot of people were talking about it on
I'll
Twitter.
send you the link. I'll send you the link so you can watch it.
Like,
Fucking
yeah, I haven't
awful.
seen it, but I'm sure it's going to be really, really good. And they deserve to be made fun of. I mean, you put yourself in a certain position, somebody's going to laugh at you. So, I've been laughed at, but that's just the way it is, depending on what we do. But yeah, I'll watch it and laugh. But no, I haven't seen it yet. But I'm excited about watching this movie. It's going to be great. I was thinking in the back of my mind all week that you were going to pick Team America, World Police. I might just have to pick that one. Are you still there? Can anybody hear me? I don't know if my internet went out or my speakers or whatever. Because I don't see the chat moving or anything.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you. I
Okay,
was
I
thinking that my
muted
computer
myself.
finally did, my internet finally just quit. That's what I was thinking. Because it's done it a few times. I thought, the little bar keeps going way up and then it goes back, drops out. So, yeah.
There's a the evisceration of Prince Henry or Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. They're on their. I'll spoil this, but it's great because when you watch it, you're gonna love it
I'll
more.
still watch it. So don't
Um,
worry about it.
they're on a world or give us privacy tour, and they go on this worldwide tour, going to all these places, protesting they want privacy. We just want to be normal. We just want to be treated normal. And then they fly another jet to somewhere else, and they put up these signs, and they see Colorado. Like nobody lives in Colorado. Let's go live there. And they go to Colorado after they've done this stupid tour, and on one of the stops, they are on this TV show, and Prince Harry's like, "My Instagram loving bitch wife," and that's what he calls her because that's how the MC of the show addresses her,
Mm-hmm.
and she takes no offense at it. She's like, "I love Instagram."
Well, well, But they have a new kid, right?
I have no idea if they have a new
They
kid or
had a
not.
boy, and then she was pregnant again. I don't even know what she had. Did she have a girl this time? I have no clue.
I'm not.
So I don't know, but you know, it's all a
I'll
bunch of
have to
mess.
find. I know I put it all over Discord that I found the link for the South Park Studios,
Well, just send
and
me a message on Discord and tell me where it's at, and I'll just have to go find it. I mean, I'm not really. It might take me longer than what it would someone else, but if I, spend a few hours, I'm sure I can find it.
I'll just send it. I just found it. I just found it. Ha ha ha. Ha. And good God, this is. I know you guys are like, Bruce, you are totally ignoring the rest of us for the conversation with her. Yeah, well, it's the Bruce and Janet show, so I'm sorry, but
But
unfortunately,
it's so the movie that we're gonna watch is this the movie?
no, I just sent you the link for the Worldwide Privacy Tour,
Oh, okay. So this is a
and then
separate.
I'll find the link for the Imagination Land, or we'll have to watch it together on YouTube or something. But I'm looking forward to this because everybody's been telling me you got to watch it, you got to watch it, you got to watch it, and I'm like, okay, fine, I'll watch it. Shit.
Well, if it's South Park, I know it's gonna be funny as heck. So I mean, aren't they the same guys that made Team America?
They
World
are
Police? Okay, well,
the same.
I had to stop that movie. I don't know how many times when I watched it at home because it was so funny. The love scene. I don't I would think I broke a rib laughing at
The
that part
fact
of
you
the love
call it
scene.
the love scene that made me laugh just now. I'm like, oh my god,
Oh,
there's so much poop.
it was so bad. It was good, and the part. It's some of the parts about like the Chinese president and stuff. Oh, it's just comic genius. I mean, these guys are geniuses when it comes
I
to writing comedy.
The
At least
bad
that's
thing
how I.
is that I mentioned this in the stream. I think it was Sunday night, and me and some others were discussing an event that happened on a role playing game store where they banned a group or a pair of people writing their stuff. They got rid of all the stuff off of the store that these two people had written from Portugal, and they got rid of everything. And the last product put out there is this very misogynist game called Men, which is hilarious. But I'm not taking it as like this is a game I want to play. It's a game I just want to read and have fun laughing at,
Mhm.
because the jokes you read it and you laugh and then you laugh again because you're like, I can't believe I laughed at that. That's funny as hell. And the problem is that right now we live in an era where if conservatives want to just get votes, all they've got to go out there and do is just say, "Hey guys, we're for jokes, man. We want to laugh again," and that should be the election season's over. Like the statists lost. We're not going to follow China into damnation,
Mhm.
even though we got some stuff going on right now that you guys need to be hopping up on your phones and calling your senators and your representatives, and don't let the resident in the White House, don't let them sign this thing over to where we can let the WHO decide how our virus reactions are to whatever pandemics at play
But
right now.
doesn't it have to be voted on?
I don't think it has to be voted on at all. I think it's just like he's going to push on it, and I don't know if it's got to be voted on, but um,
Because
I
I think
want
that's
action.
against the Constitution, 100%.
They
Give
say it's a
away our
federal.
rights to another country for our health. That's against the Constitution.
It's not another country. It's the organization. It's a treaty. It's higher than the Constitution, and that's the one thing I've been hearing
And
people
who's going to
talk about.
enforce it? Who's
I
going to come to your house and force you to do something when you got guns pointed?
I hope America arms the shit out of itself if that is what happens. And like Fleety just said, 90% of what's going on right now is against the Constitution.
Mm.
And voting harder, calling your center isn't going to fix the problem, says Travis, which is true. They're all committing treason at this point. And that's the problem, is that we're not putting them up against a firing range and telling them to, get smoked.
Yeah,
And that's
see,
what
that
needs
was
to
one of
happen.
the things that I'm always saying is that unless we have courts and judges that will take these cases, it doesn't matter if it's against the Constitution, because you don't have anyone that's going to uphold it. That's the sad fact that we're at right now in our country. I never thought I would ever see this happen to a place I absolutely loved, and then my dad put 34 years in to try to protect, and this is what is happening to it now. It's sad to me.
Yeah. I know Barack Obama is not the source of it, but I would still like to see Barack Obama get executed for treason. And I want to see Joe and everybody else around Joe get executed for treason. And you're all a bunch of treasonous motherfuckers. But nobody's putting them and putting them against a wall and telling the squad to fire. That's the problem. The courts, they're lost. They're the reason we're in this mess.
I mean, we have a president. I mean, I didn't realize that we were going to go political, but you know how I am about politics. We have a president that tells our soldiers on national TV to get on welfare, to get food stamps, instead of going and fighting for them to give them more money to be able to take care of their families. These are people that are supposed to get in a plane and fly to another country and sacrifice themselves to keep others from coming to our country and trying to kill us or take away our land, and that's how our president talks to them. I'm just, I'm not in a good place when it comes to talking about who's in charge of our soldiers and making decisions for our great grandkids. I mean, the thought that he's going to give pensions for $800 million or whatever it is to the people of Ukraine, but he won't even let our soldiers have enough money where they can get off welfare.
Fucking Ohio got denied for fucking help. Okay. We give $100 billion to the little shithead fucking son of Soros over there. Look at him. He's the son of fucking Soros. He's an ugly little shit, isn't he? And then you got Ohioans, which, you walk outside in Ohio, you got a weird tang in your mouth because you're breathing the air. If you go have coffee, your mouth is tingling the rest of the week, and you've probably got cancer. You're gonna die of cancer. And we let this fucker go to Ukraine to celebrate $100 billion. Nobody's yanking him off a jet and putting his face on the ground and putting a bullet in his dome. Fuck you. I'm serious. Like this is not the America we live in.
The whole thing is to collapse our economy. When you crash our money, our money's going to be worth the same as Venezuela's money, where you can just have $100 million sitting in your house and you just wipe your ass with it because it's not even worth $2.
Not even worth that,
It's just, or make paper mache ponies, or I don't know. It's just because they want to force us into digital currency, because once everything's on digital, if you go to the store and you don't have the right, you don't have the right shots, or if you don't, if you said somebody wasn't, or yes ma'am or no ma'am to the wrong gender, they can say, well, you're getting so many demerits. Remember that movie, Judge Dredd?
Yeah.
Where he was saying fuck, 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 and having all the paper come out, and then you take
You're not talking about Judge Dredd. You're talking about another Stallone movie called
what is it? Sorry.
Demolition Man. It's okay. That's a much better movie than the Stallone Judge Dredd, I might add.
Okay. Well, what was the name of that movie?
The movie was Demolition Man.
Oh, Demolition Man. That's it. And it had
Sandra Bullock.
Sandra Bullock. But that's where they're pushing us. They want us to be under their control, period, for every aspect of our lives, from cradle to grave. How many times have you heard them say, oh, that's not what we want? But that's exactly what they want, because they want to take your child from you and raise it, and do whatever they want to it, because you can't call them a pedo. You have to call them a person that's a minor attracted person. Okay. So they want our babies. They want us to give birth, carry a baby in our womb for 9 months, and then take it from us. Unless you want to kill it before it's born, then it doesn't matter. They'll just use the tissue to make skin
Put on
creams.
this altar to bail. Put it on the altar to bail. That's what we do. Oh,
It's
thanks,
just
Mike.
all of this is just I'm I want to look pretty. Okay, I want to look like a woman. I want to be attractive, but I'm a woman. I'm a grown up. Okay, but I'm not trying to do shows for little 6-year-old kids. I'm not trying to attract children and telling children to dress up as a grown up or to dress up as the opposite sex. I want a child at 6 years old to be able to play outside, play in the dirt, build Lego toys, things like that, to be a kid. That's what I want. And I don't understand any parent that would take their child to a place that might as well be a strip bar and give their child, a 6-year-old child or younger or older, money to put in a G-string of a man pretending to be a woman with their boobs hanging out, with fake
It's
boobs that look
disgusting.
real.
It's fucking
So
disgusting.
we have an administration that thinks that's normal, that wants you to treat your child that way. Why?
Don't you agree? Don't you want to be an ally of these people? Don't
What
you want
is
to be
their
an ally
agenda?
of these people? They just want to be normal.
I don't get it. I mean, I watch these older movies and I'm like, what happened? What happened to our world? Well, we could sit and dream about being Superman or Wonder Woman and doing great, wonderful things to help others. And now, if I have boobs, I have to have a penis too. And I got to be able to walk around and let little kids put money in my pants. I mean,
No.
it just does not, none of this makes any sense. I mean, it's like it's like we're all on this giant reality series or something. It's not even reality. It's like we really are in the Matrix. We really are. We've all somehow are locked into this thing that's stabbed into the back of our neck, and we can't get out. There's no way out. I don't know how to unplug myself from the Matrix because I don't want to be in the Matrix anymore. I'd rather just be out in the desert and scrounging for my own reality.
Fuck that. I want to have chickens. I want to, like,
I have chickens.
the other day I was thinking, like, man, Janet's so lucky. She's got chickens. And we were looking at eggs, and now I guess Walmart's going to have like $2 eggs. I haven't heard the negative, like if these are like imitation eggs or if they're like almost real eggs or impossible eggs. Like I'm pretty certain like that might be the case, but they might be real eggs. I don't know. They might
Well,
be eggs from Mexico.
I've heard about that too, and I was going to make a video going and purchasing some of them and then crack one of my eggs and crack one of theirs because I know where mine came from and I know what my chickens are eating.
Yeah,
So,
Calvinani, this is a public service announcement part of the show. We're telling everybody in Ohio, just leave. If you have the means to not be in Ohio, go somewhere else right now. And here's the part about it that JT was telling me the other day, and I read it and I read it and I read it. I'm like, man, that's fucking scary. We had 3 weeks ago, there was a fucking spy balloon over the fucking station, over the nation, right? And it went around and it drifted around and it kind of hung out in certain areas, like, oh, you have a naval base there. Oh, you have some nuclear missiles there. Oh, that's pretty cool. And then it drifted up, and it sampled things. It sent back a bunch of information, and it's like it told the people that was controlling it the same location that gave us the virus of mysterious origin. Fuck you. It gave them the information where they could sabotage a train and have it not quite get where it was supposed to, but instead kind of get stuck at a spot where it could get in the groundwater, fuck up communities, get in the rivers, destroy the southeastern agriculture portion of our nation, and also at the same time get aerosoled, put in the air, and drift up to the northeast fucking population centers.
Hmm. Yep.
This
But
is
did
the
you see the
problem.
video? I saw a video, and somebody said it happened like, I think, like 8 hours before the train derailment. There was fire.
Yeah,
There was
there
a
was dragging
fire
parts of the
on
car
the
that were
tracks.
like they didn't stop the train. Nobody saw it. Nobody called the police.
Mm-mm.
This lady's like, don't be shocked when Bill Gates and BlackRock show up and they buy all that land for next to nothing. Yeah, it was Ohio.
That's what I think part of it is I think it's an insurance scheme and a land grab
Yeah,
for sure.
like
Um,
it's
it's
not
just
happening hard
the
enough.
only bad thing about that is that's the after effect. You know what I mean? All the people's property that own homes and stuff there that work their whole lives, or maybe it's the second generation that's living there. What is their property going to be worth now?
Next to nothing.
And also you think about that giant cloud that exploded, right? Or
Hmm.
flying all around because if the video that some of the videos I've seen, there's a sheen over the water, like on the edge. You know how when you got a
Yeah.
creek going down and things that are floating on it and kind of gets pushed to the side, right? On the banks, you can see
Hmm.
it almost looks like if you spill gas on your driveway and then you go
All the
back the next
petroleum that's in
day and
that water.
it's got that rainbow sheen looking aspect to it. That's what the edge of the water looks like. So if it's in the water like that and pushed to the side, what do you think your car has all over it? What do you think your house has all over it? What do you think the grass and the fences and the everything outside is coated with this stuff? And people are walking around touching it. Animals are touching it. And they're getting it on them, and then they're licking themselves. The cats, dogs, other squirrels, other animals. It's going to be awful. What's going to happen over the next year or so, and then all that whatever that went downstream. I saw a couple videos showing whole flocks of birds hanging from the telephone pole wires and stuff, dead because they were grasping, the thing when they died, and they're just hanging upside down. And then there's some all over the ground and things like that. So that's the only thing that I don't think that they really planned for was the fact that every single person that owns a phone now has a camera, you know,
Yeah,
to take video and stuff. It's just, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's scary. It's very
it's
scary to
disgusting.
me. And
And
I'm gonna die on my front porch when they come to get me, and I'm gonna get shot because I'm gonna go down shooting. That's what's gonna happen. Am I allowed to say that on this channel?
you just did, and I'm not going to delete it.
Oh,
I expect this
that's
channel to get deleted.
my point of view. I'll put that on there. So,
Well, that's fine, but I'm still a terrible person for putting such violent content on here.
yeah, I
Even
saw
though I've
some in
got
your show yesterday. So the content you were talking about, I think, is way worse than anything that we've talked about tonight. So it was pretty bad.
it was kind of shocking to be scrolling through a book for a reaction video and oh, boobs. Nothing to see here, kids. Remember, you're over 18. You clicked it.
Well, yeah, I do. I have boobs. I mean, I see them every day. So
Yeah, but I don't expect to turn on YouTube and have boobs. That's a reason in their TOS, like, hey, don't show these. Like you can be a drag queen and you can show like your fake man tits, or your augmented man tits, and that's fine. See, low spec knows what we're talking about, and it's okay. But like if I show like boobs, and we're talking about like you're cis white male and you're attracted to women with shapely boobs because that means that she can nurse your children into health. She has childbearing hips. That's what women are for. And that's that entire game. I
mm-hmm.
love that game. I do because it's so fucking counter culture to the stupidity of today. And fuck you if you think that 2023 is a gateway to the future and we need to all just get along and hang out and China's showing us what to do. And like I said, fuck you. It's like that game made me so happy to go through it. Although it was getting a little tedious towards page 37 when I stopped, I really enjoyed showcasing that game, even with the 4 instances where I've got boobs on screen. Quick, Bruce, scroll past boobs. Don't have boobs on screen. Yeah, dude, YouTube is full of naked yoga and breast massages. I know.
Yeah,
I know.
it's everywhere. It's on Twitter. You can see full nudity on Twitter.
Well, I mean, that's why I've got it.
I'm just saying it's it's everywhere, and people laugh at me. I get people leave comments on my YouTube channel because I have stuff that says 18 and over. You know, I have it in this whole thing, and you have to be 18 to watch it. And I'm just saying dirty words and different innuendos. I'm not showing, you know, full nudity or anything like that. And they think it's that I'm stupid because I do that. But I go, I don't care if you think I'm stupid, because it's not going to be in my conscience thinking that some 10-year-old kid got to listen to one of my jokes and went to school and told people it. I just don't want that on my conscience. And, you know, I'm not worried about it. It's not like I'm ever going to be a millionaire or anything. So, you know, it's not hurting me. It makes me feel good to know that at least I care whether some total stranger's kid is watching me tell a dirty joke. It's just, to me, it's not worth it. And then they'll say, well, where's your OnlyFans? You know, I want to see this, that, and the other. I'm like, I don't have that, and I'm not going to.
You don't need to have that. I mean,
I don't want it. I mean, even if I
10,000 women
needed
on
it, I would go get a job at a chicken plant or Walmart or a waitress. I've done all those types of jobs. I would do that before I would ever do something to show my nude body or do disgusting things with fruits and vegetables or whatever it is that these people do on these channels. So I
Sounds
would
like you
do it,
watched.
you know.
Oh, my bad. Sorry. No, but that's what they do, and it's like, okay. I mean, I didn't
I mean,
really
I
know
don't care if they want to do it. If they want to do that to themselves, they have every right to. It's their body, and if they want to make money doing that, that's fine. It's just that I'm not going to do it. You know, I just don't want to do it, and I have no need to do it. And it's just, I have other ways of being able to take care of myself. There's no way I would do something like that. So you know, that's just not me.
We appreciate that.
I'm just a fuddy-duddy, apparently. But
Alvanani's like, time to
I can
cancel
sleep at night.
Janet. No Janet on drive-through RPG. And Papa Cotton's like, I saw some lady's new post op dong on Twitter. That's going to scar me for life. Yeah. Six Nation 31 King says, don't do a nudity OnlyFans. Just do a no nudity OnlyFans account and flip the script on them.
If I started doing another channel, I wouldn't be able to do my housework. I mean, I've got almost over 500 or 600 videos I've already made, you know, a year of having my YouTube channel. And I hope to make another 600. If I can make 600 every year, that'd be great. Because I do it because it's fun. I enjoy doing it. And I want to focus on that. I want to focus on doing things that I think are fun. And that if somebody leaves and they just laugh or they chuckle, even if they think it's stupid, but they laugh because of it, then to me, it was worth doing it.
And that's part of comedy, is like you laugh at something and then you're like, wait, I just laughed at that.
Well,
yeah. I gotta say that, you know, we've kind of strayed a little far from talking about Riddick, and that's fine, because I wanted to talk about the politics that are going on, and the horrible treatment of Ohio by our nation's government. And I really hope that people in Ohio, you know, like, Ohio used to be a battleground state, not anymore. It's flipped red. Florida used to be a battleground state, no more. It's flipped red. So
I hope, I really do. I mean, look at some of the things that's going on right now in Texas. Okay, my mother was born in Texas. Most of my cousins and stuff on my mom's side are all from Texas and Oklahoma. which they were very conservative people. I'm not saying they weren't Democrats. I'm saying they're conservative. They believe that they should go to church, that they should be responsible, pay their bills. They believe in law enforcement, all those different things to me in conservative points of view of for their lives. But when all these videos started coming out, I started seeing these videos of these libraries where their transgenders are dressing up and reading stories to kids. I mean, I can sit and read a story to a kid, but because I don't have a penis, they don't want me to. You see what I'm saying? I could dress like this, but I wouldn't show any of this if I was in an elementary school reading to children. It's not, I would wear like Little Bo Peep outfit, or I would wear overalls like Tom Sawyer, things like that.
God, guys.
Depending on what
Farmer
story
Janet.
I was gonna read. Huh?
I just said, oh my God, guys, think about it. Farmer Janet.
I have worn overalls many times. But the thing is that that's what I would do, because I actually care about how I'm perceived, and I care about the perception the children would have looking at me. And I don't know. But the thing is, I found out that so many of these videos were coming out of Texas.
Yeah, because
Okay.
the progressives have invaded it, and they've kind of taken over the urban areas. I hate
Well,
to
the
say it.
thing is, you got to remember, I was talking about this in a space the other day. The city of New York, just the city, okay, there's more votes that come from the city of New York than in like 4 or 5 states, southern states.
Mhm.
Okay, people can't comprehend that, and they say, "Well, we need to let it be the public, the popular vote should make the decisions." And I'm like, well, our forefathers set it up the way they did because they knew that there would be more people in these big cities in New England and in California than they're going to be all in the middle of the country where the farmers, and the cattle ranchers and stuff are, because they had to have a balance, because all the people on both coasts shouldn't have all the rights to make the decisions for everybody in the middle. Okay. And that's why they set it up. But if they take Texas, is it really going to matter anymore whether we have popular vote or electoral college? It's getting close to where the states that have the biggest cities are the ones making all the decisions for everybody else. And I can tell you right now that there's a lot of things they're doing right now that I don't agree with, like this minor attracted person thing. Do you want that person living next door to you?
Nope.
Okay, so that's what we got to think about. And you can't have all these people going off half-cocked saying, well, I'm going to take them out, I'm going to get rid of them, all that kind of stuff. Because then if everybody's in, all the good guys are in jail, who's going to take care of the good gals and the good children? Nobody. That you don't leave us to the wolves. So you can't think stupid that way. You gotta think about what you're going to do tomorrow and who's going to be left to take care of the aftermath. And that's got to be good people. It's got to be people that care about what happens to the children and the elderly, the people that raised us and tried to make it a good world for us. And we can't just go off half-cocked and make stupid decisions, because we're the ones that are going to target and put in jail, because the other hoodlums that they know aren't going to make a difference, aren't going to stand up for anyone else, because they're all self-centered and selfish, and they're just outgoing saying, oh, I want those shoes, or I'm going to rob this little store down here. I don't care about Grandma Jones, right? So they're not targeted by the people that want to take down us. They want us because we won't comply. So we're the first ones that are going to be taken out. And that's sad. But that's the way it is. At least that's what it looks like to me. We're all that's left. We're the last fighters, people.
Australia's most
But there are a lot of us.
Janet, you should run for Congress.
Do what?
There's a character in the chat. Australia's most haunted Joe. Janet, you should run for Congress. I've agreed with everything you said. I don't know. He's in
Well,
Australia. Might not be able to vote for us.
somebody would off me in a moment. They would put poison in my coffee or something my first day because they would not want to have to put up with me. So I wouldn't last a couple days. They would get rid of me. And I'm not fun when I'm not in a good mood.
No. Ladies, like we've already been let out to slaughter. 80% of kids today are in fatherless homes because the states make a profit from the feds on child support.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's not just that. When you have a split family, okay, the chances of drug abuse, alcohol abuse go up. And when you have more and more people that are becoming drug addicts and alcoholics, that means it's more people that need therapy and that need doctors, right? And that means medication. And we all know who's making money off of all the prescriptions that are being written, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
So see, it all works hand in hand, and that's what they want. That's why I'm huge on my channel about working out, exercising, trying to take care of yourself mentally, trying to be yourself and not let people talk you into doing things that you don't want to do or against what you feel is best for you. And that's just how I am. That's exactly how I am. That is me. And when I die, that's exactly where I'm going to think. Because I'm not going to let someone else make me say or do anything that I know is wrong. And that's another thing that the bad people do, is that when you're young and you don't have a family or anything, and you're saying, oh, if that guy comes over me, I'm going to go down fighting, right? Okay, just like I'm saying right now. But as soon as you have a young one in your house you're responsible for, and they come in and they say, you do what we say or we're going to get rid of that young one, you're going to say, I'll do anything you tell me to. That's what changes it. And that's what they're using against us, our children. They're already doing it. And we become complacent because we don't want them to hurt our kids. And so we're just, trying to make it as easy as possible to keep our families together. And they're winning. And they're taking our children with them. Sad.
With that, I think that pretty much. You guys got some prayers you want to say?
That's so depressing, aren't I? I'm sorry, Bruce.
You're good. Our buddy Hungar is, to my knowledge, he's still at home, but always a good thing to.
Didn't he stop by?
He did. He also passed out fast because that's what he does. By the time we start streaming, it's time for him to go, and he probably wakes up early. He's probably one of those guys like as soon as the sun gets, start getting up on that side of the horizon, he's up and doing stuff. But pray for them. Pray for them.
In that chat, that's funny.
Every time I go and exercise on a run, I meet new people. They're called paramedics. I love that. That's great. Australia.
Yeah, that's
pray for the men of this world, and not to be swayed by the stupidity that's going on, because seriously, there's a lot of stupidity that's just being unchallenged and unchecked. And buy yourself some lead, buy yourself some brass, and be ready, because I think we're getting closer and closer to it, because they're getting more and more ballsy. I mean, just this last month, we had a satanic ritual on the Grammys. We had that stupid spy balloon. We had all the other crap going on. So I think it's going to be sooner than later.
And George Soros has now owns 6 ammunition factories that he's purchased. So he's going to make sure that you can't get bullets. Just like I said, you don't have to come into your house and take your weapons. They just got to keep you from getting any ammo.
Yeah, that's the problem.
And guess what, you guys? There's videos out there on how to make your own. So that's a good educational video to watch, I think.
It's true.
If you own weapons, know how to make the ammo you need for them.
Hang out with Janet. Janet's got her own channel. Let me put it in the chat, and then I will wrap up this video for tonight. I think we had a
Oh, and I think I said it earlier. I really like the movie, all three of these movies, and I gave them an 8 out of 10. There are a few things that I didn't really, that because of the budget, you could definitely tell if you watch this movie that their budget was hacked up, basically. So you could tell in certain scenes that the movie was definitely low on funds. But the story wasn't as bad as it could have been, but it wasn't as good as it should have been. I'll put it that way.
That's very true. If you guys are into 9mm ammo, there's a link for you in the chat. And also, I got Janet and Other Planets link right there. But that place, they've been sending me some stuff, and they've got good stuff. They've got quality deals. So check them out. We didn't do any sponsors tonight because
Liberal Tears.
What?
It's called Liberal Tears.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's funny.
Yeah, 115-gram case of 9mm. They have reasonable prices. They have other stuff too. I think that's my new favorite store on the web, and we'll see what happens. I might have to have a few gun days at the range and be able to flex. Like, hey, look, I know how to hold a shotgun without having my shoulder blow out or drop it after I discharge it. I might have to do that so I can hey, give me stuff or support me or sponsor me or blah blah blah. I live in the same town as Matt Best, and doesn't that count for something? No, it doesn't. Not at all. But for those of you that saw us on Saturday, I thought these would be appropriate to paint up tonight because my dad and I had to have a conversation. My dad tuned in on Saturday while we were playing Pathfinder or Dungeons and Dragons to the rest of you.
And you didn't introduce him to us?
No, he was in the chat, just kind of listening to it.
Okay.
And he hears, as we're wrapping up, Janet says, "Bruce eats my ass all the time." And I'm just like, well, I might as well make some big monsters now after I told my dad, no, Dad, this is my buddy from Arkansas, and she's
well, I didn't mean it in a dirty way. I meant that your worm ate me.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
And I explained that to him, and I'm like, no. The wife knows about her. She knows she plays. Things are good. The wife and I are good, Dad. Don't worry. Janet's just a gamer in our gaming group, and she does Monday night streams, the same lady that does streams with me. And my dad's like, okay, I'm going to send some of my friends over to watch because she's cute. I'm like, okay, Dad, that's great. So anyway, you're going to have some new viewers, I think. Okay, and I hope with the viewers we had tonight, if they could share your link out and make you have a little bit bigger signal, that'd be awesome. Calvinani is like, is this a sex ed part with the frogs? Travis hits it right on the nose. I thought the frogs turned gay. And with that, we are out. You have a great night, everybody.
Night.